going. I literally just filmed all of my speaking to the camera parts without my microphone on. So now I'm recording it again. It's quite hot and I'm just a little bit more sweaty now. So today I am going to be making some personalised pet keychains out of polymer clay. Now I actually made all of my keychains already this morning, and I'm going to paint and glaze them this afternoon. But never fear, I did film all the sculpting and explained how I made them. But I'm going to be honest, I did have a little bit of a moan as well while I was making them. Believe it or not, I am actually quite a whiny and pessimistic person, naturally. And sometimes it just gets out the box. So I won't be offended if you need to hit mute. So this is the kind of thing that I'm going to be making today. This one is actually of my old cat Tommy. Bless him, he was my little emotional support buddy through high school. It's like a little 3D keepsake of your best friend. So he sits in here with me in the art shed on my shelf. So today I want to make, well, I've actually already got one made. It's like a spare one that I made before. So I need to make 2 more cats, 2 dogs and a hamster. So I'm going to be using Fimo Soft, and I'm not going to be working on this matte because it actually reacts with the paint lines, which I didn't realise. I'm also not wearing nail varnish because it reacts with nail varnish as well, but it's fine on this desk. I have tried to sort of gently warm this in advance. Yeah, it does. I think it has helped. I do find that rolling it into sausages helps condition it. It's already full of dust. Like how? I just cleaned my desk. I'm going to be painting it anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to divide this sausage up into parts. So I want to make all the heads about the same size. The morning sunshine is shining upon us. It's actually 6:30 in the morning on Sunday. For some reason I am a major early bird. But it is kind of slightly a problem because by mid-afternoon and through to the evening, I'm ready for bed. And that's generally when most people want to socialise. I don't know if it's maybe having young kids has kind of made me this way, because it's often the only time of day that you can get stuff done. Now, I should have done this first, but I'm going to make some hooks. So I just cut about 1 inch. I've got some rounded pliers. Just wrap it around, then use some flat pliers and just twist a few times. And then just trim off the ends and you've got a hook that you can stick in the top. So I've made 5 hooks and I've also made lengths that I'm going to use to attach the heads to the bodies. So for the bodies you want roughly the same size. I just kind of roll them like this into a kind of triangular shape. Obviously if I was making a long doggo, I would just kind of roll it a bit longer like that. Or if I'm making a pug, then I'll maybe just keep it quite short and stout. And then you just want to kind of flatten the top and the bottom off so that it can sit. I'm making I'm not sure what this breed of dog is, but she looks a bit like that. And I'm making a pug. Okay, so next up, I've just rolled quite a thin piece and I'm going to cut the paws and tail. So that's 2 legs, but just in one piece, but I'll show you why. Okay, so I'm actually gonna roll that back into a ball, the legs, then roll it into a sausage again. But now the ends are nicely rounded. Then I'm going to cut them in half. That kind of smushed end actually helps you blend it onto the body. Can actually help to just kind of add a bit of an indent in the body just to kind of give the legs a place to go. Now to help with smoothing, I usually use a little bit of corn flour because the fine grit actually helps kind of buff out the lumps and bumps. Now the tail. You can use a little bit of liquid Sculpey to help stick things on as well. I usually use that for the head and the ears because they're kind of the things that are most likely to pop off in the post. I did used to paint pet portraits and I did used to sell quite a few of them, but then lockdown happened and then art really became kind of a luxury item. Everyone just needed toilet roll. And then after lockdown lifted, that was when really like computer generated or AI pet portraits kind of started being sold a lot on Etsy and stuff. I couldn't compete with the prices because you can buy a pet portrait for like a tenner. So I thought that I would try these instead because AI can't actually make these yet. But it hasn't really been the best business model, to be honest, because the amount of time that they take to make, you have to charge like quite a lot. People just don't want to pay that much for a gift. I'm kind of tempted to take them off Etsy because I'm just paying loads of fees. So if you're thinking of making these as like a business, it is, there do seem to be a lot of people on there that have managed to do it successfully, but I just wonder how much they're really sort of making for their time. I bet it's a lot less than minimum wage, unless they're just much quicker at it than me. I don't know. Because the postage as well. Because I did a trial run posting them to my friend, and it was nearly £5 for the postage, and I was like, is that the cheapest? And they were like, yeah. By the time I've like just paid for postage and packaging, it's getting on for more than anyone would want to pay. I mean, I don't blame people for not wanting to pay that much. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't either. Most people have a sort of budget of about 10, 15, 20 pounds for a gift. It is very tough out there for artists. I do usually stick the tail underneath so that it kind of hides the join, and also when it's baking in the oven, it's going to be kind of pressing down on that and just making sure it's like really secure. So for Speedy the hamster, I've just given him some tiny little paws, and I've also given him a little seed. So for the features, I usually do a kind of round little snout and nose and ears of varying proportions depending on the appearance of the pet. And I do always give them a collar just because it helps with that neck join, but then I'll do different charms. Before I attach the ears, I'm just going to quickly pop in the hook. I'm actually going to pop a little bit of liquid Sculpey on that because you really want to make sure that that's really well attached. I mean, I would generally recommend that these keychains are more of a keepsake than like something you'd put on your car keys, because when I sent my friend her keychains in the post, I think that they tried to ram the parcel through the letterbox and it just, all the ears popped off. So I've actually ordered some boxes to send these in rather than, because I was sending them in like packets with bubble wrap around. So I'm just going to create a little indent where the snout is going to go, just so that her face doesn't end up too long. I'm going to give her quite a boxy kind of snout because they have like the long fur around their mouths. So for the collar, I just make a very small thin sausage and then get a rolling pin and just flatten it out. And I'm going to make a little bone. This bit's always the most fiddly, making the little charm. Use a few tools just to kind of squish in at the middle and then also squish in at the ends. It kind of makes a bone. It's so small. And then cranial attachment. A little bit of liquid Sculpey, a piece of wire, pop the head on, a little bit of a wiggle. You kind of want to put the join at the back. You're not going to see that so much. Just get a little bit of cornstarch, put that in the centre. Tiny bit of liquid Sculpey for the charm. Oh, I nearly forgot, on the doggos I like to give them a little cute tongue sticking out. Just stick it under the nose and then use a kind of pointy tool to just add that line and also just to kind of squidge it in at the nose. Why am I whispering? I couldn't find many photos of the pug to work from and I wanted it to stay a surprise. So from what I could see, it looks like she has quite small tucked back ears, quite an upturned nose, a stout little body and a curly little tail. So hopefully that's about right. Ooh. If you've got a little bit too much cornflour on there, you can just use a brush. Okay, so I'm all done with these guys. I've got these two cats with leaf charms, the two doggos, Speedy the hamster, and while I was working on these, my husband Elliot actually joined me in the shed and reminded me that I needed to make a little brown cockapoo for somebody. So I actually used this tool to just kind of add a little bit of texture, and just realised that if you do that with the tool around where the eyes are going to go, this actually makes it look a bit more like this dog breed. So these are all ready to go in the oven now. I'm actually going to put them in the air fryer. Okay, these guys should be about done. Probably should let them cool down for a minute rather than being like a crazy person just grabbing them straight out. Now I have noticed, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there are some very fine hairline cracks. Perhaps the air fryer was on slightly too hot, but it's not the end of the world. I'm just going to give them a quick coat of Mod Podge and that will just help seal any of those cracks and also just add that tiny bit more strength and durability. Then they will be ready to personalise. Okay, so here they are all ready to paint. This is the primer that I'm going to use. I better go and get that just in case Elliot's busy.
A few moments later.
Okay, back. probably art supplies. Shall we have a look at what I've got? Because I actually can't remember. Ah, perfect. I remember now. Foldable boxes to put them in so that hopefully they're a bit better protected in the post. And I was actually going to buy some protective tissue paper to put them in, but then I saw the price of it. So do you want to know what I did to make my own? I made some of my own by just putting some baking parchment through the shredder. Don't mind the bits of personal document, but that saved me like £7. And if you don't have a shredder, you could just use scissors. Where was I? Paints. The paints that I am using today. My usual favourites, Mont and Artecho. For anyone who's been watching my videos for a while, I'm sorry that I keep going on about these paints. And then once that is dry, I'm going to go over them with a coat of this Sculpey gloss varnish. Okay, so I am all finished with the keychains for today, and I am actually really pleased with how they've come out. They aren't completely perfect, but I think that's the beauty of something that's handmade. I'd say that polymer clay is definitely the best choice in my experience for making these. Because it's basically plastic, it should, in theory, pretty much last forever. When I made these out of air dry clay, they did come out a little bit rough looking. I don't know if it's just something to do with the texture of the clay. These just look a lot more polished and smooth. You'll have to let me know which was your favourite pet keychain. I think my favourites were the cats because I am a cat person, if you hadn't noticed. If you've enjoyed today's video or found it helpful, don't forget to hit that like, share or subscribe. Thank you for watching, my lovelies, and I shall see you next week. Shall I do one video without sliding out of shot? No.